Good evening, afternoon, morning, depending on what time you're viewing this video. I'm going to go ahead and make a hopefully short video on how to create a smart table in Control M7.0. And hopefully we're not going to go into too much details, just to give you a basic overview. So right now I'm in Control M Desktop, and I did File, New, and I created a local workspace for you. Okay, so we're not going to deal with any active table. We're going to create a brand new one from scratch. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to click over here where it says Table right next to your new job icon, and I'm going to click Smart Table. I'm going to pick the data center that I'm creating the smart table in. Now this is your main table here, so it's going to be what Control M is going to see on the database side, your primary name, and I'm going to name this Smart 1. Okay, I'm not going to set the user daily or anything now. I am going to give an application name. And a group name. We'll go ahead and call it Smart Group just for consistency. Put the author, and that's my required fields to create the smart table. Now with a smart table, you need a calendar. Or not a calendar, I'm sorry, a schedule at least here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a schedule for these jobs to be able to use called all. And I'm going to do just all weekdays. I'm going to create one called weekend, which I'm going to allow them just to run on Sunday and Saturday. And I think that's good for the test here. So we'll have two different calendars that these jobs will be able to use. Okay, I am going to give this an AA priority, and we're not going to have it wait for confirmation. So as you see, I'm just going through these tabs here. With a smart table, your smart table can contain, the primary table can contain almost all of the details to control your jobs within. So I know no job in this table is going to be able to run after 2 a.m. and is going to have to be completed by 23:55 in the system time zone. I'm not going to have any in conditions for this table, but I am going to have an out condition for this table, because one of the great things about smart tables is the entire table completion can trigger another table, a job, or any group that you need. So you can almost think of a smart table like a package. So this is going to be the wrapper of the package, and everything that we put into it, we can make something else reliant on the process completing. So we're going to do a smart 1 OK, just as our out condition. Right now we're not going to have any variables set, but another great thing about the smart table is any variable you set within this whole table will be available to every job within it. So you don't have to use system variables for that. You can use your own unique variables. We're not going to do any shouts, but here if we wanted to, like on OK or on not OK of the entire smart table, we could have it email us directly through the table rather than the individual job. If the entire smart table was running late, we set those parameters in there, we could do that. And we could also have the shout to system. Like in our particular company, we use the alerts window that the data center operators are monitoring 24/7. So we could actually shout on the table to let somebody know that there's something going wrong with this table. Either that it ended not okay, that it's running late, any of your normal post-processing options you can do. Okay. So I'm just going to put down here a short description. And I'm going to save and close. And now you're going to see our smart table. You see the condition that I created. That's just the view that I have set up in. And now we're going to add a job to that table. So you see I just right-clicked on the table, add job, and that already brings in all the lovely stuff for me. Puts my owner in there as a sample account, which I'm going to change the owner name to, let's just say it's root for this particular system. It automatically brings up the last job that I was doing. So obviously I created an AFT job last, which is automatic file transfer. We're going to go ahead and switch that back to a standard OS job. We're going to call this job, let's do job 1 in Smart 1. Now within here you can create as many jobs as you like, and do all the conditions just like you would any other job. So I'm just going to do a couple real quick here. And actually I'm going to make them commands so we can clear out this information because we won't be using that. And I'm just going to do, actually let's do sleep. We'll do a sleep for 2 seconds. And actually we're going to go ahead and make these jobs actually work. So let me put in my owner, which remember owner is the ID of that the job is going to be run as on the system that it's running. It has no relation to control M, unless you're restricting by owners, of course, but it is the job ID that the whatever task, like I'm going to run this sleep 2 command as this ID on the server, which in this case is a node group, which means I can have multiple servers actually within this group, but I get to use a nice fictitious name. I'm going to say that this job here, because you can put your own time requirements on these jobs, so we know the whole group can't be submitted before 2 a.m., but we're going to say this job starts at 8 a.m. and must be completed by 8:05 in the morning. Still no time zone. We're going to go ahead and do a priority of AA. Okay, the scheduling here as well. You can actually pick the calendars that are available, and we're going to say this job runs all days. Okay, so now this job will run on this calendar, or we can pick any particular days that we want, but it's best normally to use the Smart Table calendar. That's really one of the reasons to use Smart Tables, is so you have the various calendars all set up. Someone can just come right in. They can set up the specific requirements for the job, but the core is already there. Okay. Now I'm going to have an out condition for this job, and it's actually going to be the job name. So I'm going to do %% job name, a period. A single period in control M just lets the system know that there's a fictitious space there, so it won't actually use the period in the out condition, but it allows me to use a variable. If I just did %% job name, which would pull the job name from the system, and did underscore OK on it, then it would error out. It would actually be CTM error would be my out condition here. Okay, so but we're going to do %% job name, the period, so that the system knows this is the variable, not this entirety, because anytime the system sees %%, it thinks variable. And it's going to automatically pull the job name in for me, and then put underscore OK. Now the reason I do this is it saves me time when I'm creating multiple jobs, because I'll be able to go ahead and just leave this here, and then I always know as an in condition I put the actual job name. You can't use %% job name in an in condition, because you'd be pulling the job that you're in. So if the job itself is its own in condition, well, it's never really going to run if it has to finish OK. Okay, now here I must put in the system resources that are managed by the system. Well, by the system admin, we're required to put these in. We're not going to do that. I have no control resources on here. I'm not going to use any variables in this portion. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and save and close, and then under here we're going to get our first smart job. Now I'm going to actually create a quick variable here. I'm going to go back into the Smart Table, and I'm going to go over to the Set tab, and just to give you an example here, I'm going to make a variable called sleep1, and actually I'm going to do it all capital letters because that's normally what I would do. Okay, and I'm going to say this sleep1 variable is for system, a sleep of 3. So wherever I put %% sleep 1, anywhere within the smart table, sleep 3 is going to come up. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create a second job, just so that we can show that it triggers. I just did a copy and create, so we're going to call this smart job 2. And in this command, instead of using the command directly, I'm going to go %% sleep 1, which should match my variable that I put here, sleep 1. And then it's automatically going to replace that on run with anything that's in this smart tables box. So it's a nice way you can build in a whole bunch of different variables that can be used throughout multiple jobs. It's really a time saver if you set it up. Put in a quick one. And as you can see, everything else I already picked here is there. I'm going to pick the all for the calendar. Leave this, let this one, let's say this one can't run, that one's 8:05, so we'll do this one, can't run until 8:05, and has to complete by 8:10. So you can get very granular with this, but we're not going to right now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the job name on the first job, because I want these to run in sequence. And this is just a standard we follow here. You guys, use whatever you need to, but I find this is the easiest way here. So we use the job name, which would already be our standard. Normally this would be a specific variable that was related to the table. So, and then smart underscore OK, which is the condition that we have out from this. % job name OK. So right now we know that in this sequence that job 1 will run, and then it'll allow, the condition will be out there for job 2 to run. Okay, and what I like to do is do cleanup, because we normally don't do many conditions over the multiple days. So we're going to go ahead and do a negative condition on this, which is going to go out after this job runs OK. It's going to go out and it's going to clear this condition for the same O date. Now, if these were running multiple days, you can use the other variables here. If you were looking for like job 1 completing the previous day, I would put previous on here, and then it would look back to the previous day, and if job 1 didn't complete, then it would not run. Okay, you can also do for the next day, or O date is general, so which is the order date. Since these jobs aren't crossing multiple days, O date's what we're going to go ahead and use. Okay, my resources have already come over. I'm going to go ahead and do a save and close. So now you see here we have a very basic smart table where we have the primary smart table, we have the jobs, we have the jobs linked by a condition. Okay, and if we wanted, we could even put an in condition on this smart table saying it couldn't run before that. You see, we already have this out condition. So we can make another smart table. And smart tables, you almost treat them exactly like a job. So they have a few differences, I mean, with the calendar, but other than that, they are almost exactly the same. So we'll go in and we'll make some of these changes here. So all I did was copy the table, and this, again, just an example. So we can change the times. But what we're going to do, is make smart 2 reliant on smart 1 to be okay. Okay, and normally I would do the cleanup too, but we're not going to do that right now. I'm going to make these jobs just no in or out conditions. And all their requirement is going to be that this table is allowed to come in. just finish this cleanup real quick. And you see when I copied that and I changed the name, everything that I changed happened automatically for me here. Okay. Again, just a quick table. So we're going to go ahead and write this table. And because these are technically two different tables, we'll have to write both of them. And we will have to upload both of them. I'm not going to set these user daily to anything because we're just testing it. I'm going to go ahead and force them both in. And I'll actually force Smart Table 2 in first, so you'll see that that table won't start running because that condition will not be out there of Smart Table 1 completing. And we will actually run into an issue with Smart Table 1 as well because it's out of time window, but we'll use a bypass function on that. So let's go ahead and do tools here, order force. Now we're in the EM. And we're going to find our Smart 1 and Smart 2. I said we'll force in Smart Table 2. Okay. So now we should see Smart 1 APP here. This is the primary table name, so that's why that's there. But you see Smart 2 is in here. And you see Smart 3 and 4. If we do a Y on the Smart table itself, you see it's waiting for Smart 1 OK with the date ref of today. So now let's go ahead and do Smart 1. We'll force that in. Right above it. Now Smart 1 is going to instantly go into running because the table itself is within its time window. But none of the jobs within it are able to run because they are outside of a time window. So if we do a Y, we go ahead, it automatically says it's out of job time window. So what I'm going to go ahead and do to allow that to run is I'm going to do a bypass and I'm going to tell it to run. So we're going to pretend we're at 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 4 in the afternoon. And you'll see that this job here will run. Now it's green, so that job completed, it put out its OK condition. And we're going to go ahead, we have to do a bypass, but if we were to do a Y on this, it would say that it's outside a time window. You can see the condition has been satisfied for it. So we'll go ahead and do a bypass here. And actually, let me get this into better focus first. Okay, we'll see Smart 1. You see the condition here because I show my conditions. That Smart 1 OK is the condition, the in condition for Smart 2 to even start running. So now we're going to go ahead and bypass this. And you could do, say you wanted to skip this job or you wanted to do a force OK. You could do that on the entire table if you wanted to force the table to start running. So we're going to bypass, and now this job will go ahead and kick off. Now you're going to see once this job kicks off, Smart 2 should kick off. There we go. So the table itself, now it's up to the job requirements to dictate whether they run or not. And this one here, I must have messed something up. We'll do a Y. We didn't change that time window on this job. So what we can actually do here is we could skip this job if we wanted to. Or we could hold and delete this job. Once you see we hold and delete this job, the whole Smart table goes gray. Because the Smart table didn't finish OK, it's not going to let us continue. So if there was another table relying on this one with a condition, the whole thing would be grayed out. Now, if we undelete this job, and we do a force OK, you're going to see this Smart table here is also going to be forced OK. Okay? So now we have all 4 jobs. Now, remember we did that variable in job 2. You see that this is %% sleep 1. Okay, the variable's not in here at all. It is solely within this Smart table. Okay, so if we were to look at the sysout of this job, we would see that it did a sleep 3. So you see I didn't put the variable in the job like I would normally do if I wasn't doing a smart table. I put it in the table itself, and it's still transmitted. So like I said, this is just a basic overview of a smart table. So there's a lot more that you can do with them. We use them all the time for all kinds of reasons now. So play around with them, and I think you'll find many uses for them in ways that you didn't think. Entire processes that are relying on another process, make that smaller process a smart table. A lot of times people set them up to where just the one job is the trigger. Well, that one job may not be required to complete the process, so you could do a skip on that job and your smart table still finish okay, instead of having to go through each job. I think you can find a lot of good uses for them. Let me know if you have any questions or if there's any topics you want me to cover. I'm going to start scripting these, believe it or not, so they won't sound as random as I'm sure they do now. But let me know. Thanks.